चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाभूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषाय शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय हो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। Hare Krishna everybody. Today I will be presenting. Deepti Mataji will start with the first question.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, everyone. Dandavat Pranam. I would like to offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of Sri Radha Govinda and Srila Prabhupada and NND Prabhuji. So the question which I have received is, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport to 3.26 that a slightly developed Krishna conscious person may directly be engaged in the service of the Lord without waiting for other Vedic formulas. So what is the significance of this statement for the development of Krishna consciousness movement? So if we consider the activities that a Krishna conscious person does, is basically the purpose is that they don't agitate the minds of any of the people who are ignorant, basically. Instead, they help them how to engage themselves in such kind of activities that will ultimately lead them to Krishna consciousness. And it is not that ignorant man is not doing it, but he is unaware of it because he has forgotten his identity. There is a severe identity crisis currently that is ongoing because they are not aware of their identity basically, and our identity is our eternal relationship with the Lord. So we know that Jivera Sarup Hoy Krishnera Nityadasa. So we have to revive that Swarup Siddhi basically, and we have to achieve the perfectional constitutional, perfectional stage. We have to achieve that perfectional stage of our own constitutional position. And that is the purpose of a self-realized soul. So, and they are already aware, they are self-realized souls, as it is already clear. They are, they know they have the knowledge of the absolute truth. So they also lead the people on the right path. The way of conception of seeing things is totally different. They don't think from the bodily conception as happens with the ignorant men, but they are the people who know that we have an eternal relation with the Lord. And that is why they conduct all their activities only with respect to Krishna consciousness. In addition to this, we will be able to see how it benefits them. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Can you please move to the next slide?
Slide shows slide 2.
Thank you. So when we say the previous one, Prabhuji, yeah, thanks. So when we talk about the self-realized soul, the next one, Prabhuji, I think it just came back. Yes, yes. So when we talk about what kind of activities, how they do is, we know that as it is clear from the verse BD 8.26, Vedeshu Yagyeshu Tapah Suchev Daneshu Yat Punya Phalam Pradishtam Atyeti Tat Sarva Vidam Viditva Yogi Param Sthan Mupayati Charyam. So ultimately they accept the path of devotional service, and it is not that they won't receive the benefits of all the results. Still they will be able to derive all the results because they, by one stroke of devotional service, they will attain whatever these ignorant men tries to do by following away the ladder of the various stages, basically, like whatever activities they do in the Varna Ashram Dharma, which is again based on the Guna and Karma Vibhag. So based on their Guna and Karmas, they conduct the various kind of activities which are there in Vanaprastha, Brahmachari, Grahas and Sannyas Ashram. But the people who are in devotional service, basically the self-realized souls, Sit Pragya, they do not need to do this because they know that the purpose of this life is to attain Krishna consciousness. And so by one stroke of devotional service, they surpass all the rituals of different ashrams. And ultimately, they try to attain the abode of the Lord. This has also been described here, how it can happen. So we have the 9 stages of devotional service. I won't go into the details just in order to save time. So we know that it starts with prema, and there is in the field of our heart, basically, there is a seed that is blooming, and when that seed blossoms into a flower, that is the final stage of Shraddha, wherein we basically try to relish our eternal constitutional, that is the individual relation with the Lord. It could either be the Shant Bhav, it could be in any of the 5 forms, Shant Bhav, Dasya Bhav, Sakya, Vatsalya or Madhurya. So we understand that the best process is unalloyed and undeviated devotional service that really helps us to attain this pure and Shuddha Prema Bhav, basically that state. The best yagya, how we can do it, since we have to purify our consciousness. So the best yagna for Kali Yuga is being described as Sankirtan Yagya. With the help of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we can do this. And we can really help, it can really help us to purify our own souls. Thank you, Hare Krishna. I'm really sorry if I made any mistakes. Thank you. I was just trying to be on time.
Who is next? Hare Krishna.
I think Deepti
Also, now
Mataji.
unmuted alert. Now slide shows light.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm audible now.
Yes.
Yes.
So Hare Krishna. So I'll be doing the second question. So the question given to me is Srila Prabhupada ji writes in the purport he writes in the purport to the verse 3.29 that the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord than the Lord because they understand the mission. They understand the purpose of the Lord. Describe the significance of the statement and statement for preaching Krishna consciousness, and they have told me to the question they mentioned to give reference to the verse and purport of 3.29 in your response. Sorry, in my response.
Slide shows.
So this is the verse. This is the verse 3.29, and I'll be reading the translation. So the translation of the word say that bewildered of the moods of the bewildered of the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in materialistic duties and become attached but the wise should not
Unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge.
okay, thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Few
So now I would like to explain few examples. So the Lord is very merciful, no doubt about that, and his devotees are more merciful. So the Lord says that towards the end of Bhagavad Gita, that I am pleased when like if anyone like I am pleased when my devotees when one serves my devotees. So like there are many instances where the Lord where the devotees of the Lord are more like are merciful than the Lord. So I would like to state some few examples. First one is when doing Jagai Madai pastime. So we know so the pastime is that they were to like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives the order to Nityananda Prabhu, and I'll explain it in brief, and Haridas Thakurji, that you have to go to every doorstep and beg, you have to knock at the door and beg them to chant chant the names of the Lord and worship the Lord. So they do that, and then they hear that these two brothers Jagai Madai, and they are like very dangerous to go near. So then Nityananda Prabhuji, he decides that in his mind that they are the recipients of Mahaprabhuji's mercy. So then they go near and they get chased. And then what happens? One day evening, Nityananda Mahaprabhuji goes to their place where they stay, and there a clay pot which had contained alcohol. So then Nityananda Prabhuji starts preaching to them that please chant Hare, please chant the names of Lord and please worship Lord. So then that time Jaga gets angry and he throws one piece of clay pot on Nityananda Prabhuji's forehead. It hits his head and it starts bleeding. But his body is transcendental. So as a Leela, his forehead starts bleeding. And then Mahaprabhuji comes there and is about to invoke his chakra, Sudarshan chakra. Whereas Nityananda Prabhu, he says that no, don't kill them. In this yuga will not this yuga will not be lift weapons, and and then by Nityananda Prabhuji's mercy they get delivered. So here, if you can see that Nityananda Prabhu, he's Adi Guru. So by his mercy, the Jagai and Madai get they get delivered. Next instances I would like to state about, which I mentioned, is Mahaprakash Lila. So Mahaprakash Lila is when Haridas Thakurji he gets whipped in 22 marketplace, and there what happens is he prays that they get he prays for them, and then he dies. Sorry, he leaves his body, and then like no one is ready that for either cremating his body or for burying. So then they throw his body in the river, and when he reaches other bank, he comes back to consciousness. I mean, like to back to like at that time he sees the back of Chaitanya Prabhuji and their whip marks. So then I don't know exactly if Mahaprabhu tells him or he comes to know that Mahaprabhuji was holding him from behind. So you can see by Haridas Thakurji's chanting, those who whipped him, they got liberated. And the many okay. And the last I would like to state about Prabhupada goes to USA. So he goes to USA to preach Krishna consciousness, because of which many the hippies became happy, and many got they became very good devotees. So I would like to conclude that the Lord is very merciful and his devotees are also merciful. But I would like to state one thing, that the Lord is pleased when he serves devotees. There are many examples, but I would like to. If there are many other examples where where we can see this. So I would like to conclude by saying this. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Sixastika, verse 3.
So actually, I was about to quote Sishtastikam verse. So yeah, Sishtastikam was this verse. Tadadapi Sodechana Saranapi Hari Sahishra Amadena Maradena Kitanya Sadahari. So this verse, so we have to preach in this mood that we have to be more tolerant than the grass, and sorry, we have to be more. It should be like the blade of grass, that even if we get like hurt or something, we should not get to like revenge mode or something, and we should be more tolerant than a tree. So like if anyone says something, we should like be tolerant and we should not react. Instead, we should think that okay, like because of past karma, we have got scoldings or something. So we have to be in this mood while preaching. So devotees are in this mood. So Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Sorry for taking extra time.
Hare Krishna. Yes, continue.
Prabhu, one suggestion is that put the names of the devotees who is going to present this question, okay? Because there is no name here, only question is there. How can we find out?
Okay, I'll do that. Before.
After this presentation, okay? Thank you.
Yes,
Hare
yes,
Krishna.
sorry. Yes, Hare Krishna Mataji. So next we'll have next it will be by KirubaPrabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My
Hare
sincere
Krishna.
obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees. Om Ajnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Salakya Shakshur.
You can start.
I can start straight?
Yes.
Okay.
In the starting itself, it was.
Yeah. The question given to me is about the lust in Krishna perspectives. what is the answers he is giving to solve the main problem of lust. So even in Srimad Bhagavatam, it's said that sex serves as the natural attraction between man and woman. And when they are married, their relationship becomes more involved. Due to the entangling relationship between man and woman, there is a sense of illusion whereby one thinks this man is my husband or this woman is my wife. This is called Irdiya Granthi, the hard knot in the heart. This knot is very difficult to undo. Even though a man and woman separate either for the principles of Varnashrama or simply to get a divorce. In any case, the man always thinks of the woman and the woman always thinks of the man. Thus, a person becomes materially attached to family, property, children, etc., etc. Although all of these are temporary, but they take time to understand this. So even Arjuna asked this to Krishna. What is happening? Why these problems happens to the mankind? And even big saints like Vishwamitra fallen towards Menaka. Everybody is attracted and entangled with lust. Why these things happens? Without knowing, without our intention, we are held up with problems. What is simply behind this? Like that Arjuna is asking Lord Shri Krishna. So for which Supreme Godhead answers. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is the lust which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. So this spreads as a fire, as a flame covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or the embryo is covered by the womb. The living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust. Avartam jnanam yedana janamino nitya vairana kama rupena kautenya dusprayantalana cha. Thus, the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. So the senses, the mind and the intelligence are the sitting place of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. This is what Krishna clearly says. Therefore, through Arjuna, he advises the world. In the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, that is lust. The very beginning stage. This is what even Thiruvalluvar said in Thirukural. That is the thorn plant is a small, means just easy to remove. When it is developed into a big tree, we cannot cut it because the thorn pricks and hurts us. Similarly, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin by regulating the senses and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And the soul is even higher than the intelligence. Thus, what Krishna advises is, thus knowing oneself to be the transcendental to the material senses, mind and intelligence, always one should be steady in the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence. Always stay in Krishna consciousness. And thus, by spiritual strength, you can conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. So the only way to detach from the sinful activity of lust is to say Krishna consciousness. So anything bodily activity or bodily concepts are called as lust. So instead of body concepts, be a soulful concept and turn this love towards Krishna. Then we are free from lust. So love Krishna first. Then everything is safe. Everything is fine. Hope. Let us all do this together. Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Audio now on.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so next. Okay,
Hare
one thing, just give me a sec. One thing, give me a sec.
Slideshow,
Adish,
slide
Prabhuji,
slideshow, slide 14. Q discuss.
Yes, now.
Meeting control.
Yes. Sorry, I had put that slide by mistake. I'll remove that slide later.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Adish, Prabhuji, if you need any help, if I have to read out any of the questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Next is by Raksh Prabhuji. Next question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna everyone.
Yes, just give me a second. Yeah.
Slide.
Yes, you can start, Prabhuji.
Just a second, please. I am not able to see the slide actually.
I've shared it.
Okay. So yes, my question was discuss statements in Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, verse 30, and along with the purport, how it impacts your attitude towards serving Krishna, and give your reference in your response. So next slide, Prabhuji.
Slide.
Yes.
So the verse goes like, Mai sarvani karmani sannyasa adhyatma chetasa nirashi nirmato bhutva yudhaso vigtajvara. So here basically what is being said, the word itself makes things clear. Mai, onto me, sarvani, everything, karmani, activities. So every all sort of activities, just leave it onto me. Do your activities by surrendering all your work. Here the living entity can't be really independent of the Supreme Lord and be happy at the same time. So to attain happiness, they will have to be subordinate of the Supreme Lord, and that is where one needs to do their activities, one needs to perform their duties, discharge their duties for the Lord, and one must do it without any attachment for the results, or like for any fruits of the actions. At the same time, the situations can be difficult. It should not deter you. It should not deter your commitment, and it shouldn't stop you from doing your duties. That is why the example is given here is, if you just just click. Did you make some? Okay, fine. So the example that was given here in this verse is in the purport actually is about the cashier. So the cashier actually handles the huge sum of money, but he just works on it as his duty, and he has no ownership or proprietorship over the cash, yet he continues to perform his duties without any attachment. And that is one example. Another example which is given is of a military man, where the soldier have to fight the battle, on the instruction or the order of the high authority. There, he is not supposed to have his own stand, because the entire group or the entire battalion would be fighting for one cause. One should not be following one's own idea, or individual should not have individual approach. It is kind of just blindly, I'm using the word blindly, but since you are subordinate to the Supreme Lord, here in this case, the highest authority orders you to fight the battle, and the military man will have to do it, irrespective of how the situation is and how difficult the war is. And that is how we must all function. We all are soul of that one soul, and that's why we solely depend on that one soul for our personal liberation. That is what the second line mentions, that is Nirashir Nirmamo. So nothing is mine, nothing belongs to me, without I don't have any ownership. Bhutva Yudasva Vigata Jwara. So it's like, just go ahead and fight. The word jwar is mentioned here is because ideally jwar is when you have temperature, and when you feel lazy, and you just you want to procrastinate your work, and you don't feel like doing your duty. So it is just giving that instruction over here. It also relates to the one of the verse in chapter first, where Arjuna says that my skin is burning and my body is trembling. So this is somewhere related to that also, because Shri Krishna orders him, just don't act like you are not keeping well, and just come out of those excuses, and just go ahead and fight. So yeah, I mean, throw off all the reluctance or all the ideas that is stopping you from doing your duty. Here, I would also want to add one more example. So just like how servants serve to the king, and king in turn has, if righteous in religious ways, will be serving to God, and that way the entire population and the entire society or that kingdom will be Krishna conscious, and performing their duties for Krishna and not for themselves. This is how a king, his servant, and the entire society can also attain liberation. That's all from my side. Yeah, it was a small verse. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Audio now unmute.
Hare Krishna. Now we'll be having presentation by Lata Mataji.
Audio now unmuted. Alert.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Lata Mataji,
Zoom
please.
meeting. Zoom.
Go ahead. You may
Your
unmute.
screen share has been stopped. Alert. You are-
Wait a second. What happened?
Global Christian story has
Yes.
left.
Can you share the latest one, Prabhuji?
Oh yeah. I've one second. What happened? Wait a second.
Lata Mataji, you are sharing the screen now. Okay, you only continue, Mataji.
Okay, continue. Go ahead.
Can I share? Yeah.
Here you are.
Am I audible?
Presentation mode.
Yeah, 1 second, I can put it in the presentation mode.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Can I?
Yes.
Yes.
My humble pranam to Srila Prabhupada ji, and at the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. I make an humble presentation. Hope I'm able to do justice to this by the grace and mercy of Lord. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavam aham avyayam vivasvan manave praha Mano Ishwaka Bravit. In Bhagavad Gita 4.1, the Lord said that He instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivasvan, and Vivasvan instructed to Manu, the father of mankind, and then he in turn instructed to Ishwaku. Thus, we can able to trace the history of Bhagavad Gita from the royal order of the kings of all planets. This science is meant mainly to protect the mankind from the material bondage of lust. As we all know that the human mankind is for obtaining the spiritual knowledge and to develop an eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. This is what is being stated here. And this human life, which is meant for acquiring the spiritual knowledge, somewhere we have lost that. And we have to attain this knowledge to develop Krishna consciousness and develop an eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, it is intended that we have to take advantage of this great spiritual science to pursue our path of spirituality and understand that we are not the body and we are the spirit soul and we are the eternal servant of the Lord. And the sun, as it has also been stated in Brahma Samhita, where Lord Brahma says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Govinda, Krishna, and he from whom the sun god has acquired immense power and heat. Thus, we need to understand the importance of Bhagavad Gita, and which has been originally been told to sun god through him and the various disciplinic succession. At present, we are tracing it through 5,000 years back in the Kali Yuga, where it is being stated that before that we have able to understand the importance of Bhagavad Gita, which has been passed through the various disciplinic succession. The age of the current Manu is actually calculated 305 billion years ago, and which has been passed through various succession. The sun god, though we can roughly estimate and says that it is around 120 billion years ago, it has been brought to us, but it was lost somewhere. Hence, the Lord himself reappeared and he has spoken about Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna 5,000 years ago. This is stated in 4.2 where Evam Parampara Praptam Imam Rajasaso Viduhu Sa Kalene Namahata Yogo Nasta Parantapaha. This supreme science, thus we have received through the chain of disciplic succession and to the saintly kings, have to be understood the way it was being told, that it is a boon for the mankind and it has to be accepted. And without wasting any time, we need to understand that Bhagavad Gita is as good as the Vedic scripture. It is like spoken, as it is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This knowledge is what is called aparuseya. It is superhuman. It is something which is incomparable, and it has to be understood in the way it has been told without any human interpretation. Thus, the Gita must be accepted without mundane interpretation. In the third verse, it is said that Evam parampara praptam imam rajatsayo viduhu sa kalene namahata yogo nasta parantapaha. That we have to understand that it is clearly stated in Gita that especially it is meant for the saintly kings, that this supreme science should be received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly king have understood the way it is being told. And since in course of time, this succession was broken, and therefore the science has appeared to be lost. Thus, certainly Bhagavad Gita never is meant for demonic person. It is meant for spiritual people who are able to disseminate its values and understand every sense it has been interpreted for the mankind. And thus, this has been told to Arjuna because Arjuna is a true devotee and he accepted, though he is the best friend, he surrendered to Lord Krishna and he wanted to hear this transcendental knowledge through the Lord himself. That Arjuna, who accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and because he is a true devotee and is a friend and he has surrendered completely to Lord Krishna, this science was told to Arjuna for the benefit of the mankind and all those who follow this disciplinic succession. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.